Excellent. Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 14 of season 2 of the iSphere. I'm
I'm Joy.
And today we have like a lineup because we've basically been storing all the good tidbits over the course of the past several weeks. But you a fan of comedy, Joy?
I am, which is interesting because the person we're talking about next is not a comedian.
Yeah, I mean, it's like a kind of fascinating way because I have seen him appear on TikTok, and you know he's always got that sparkling smile, and you know, arguably good looking guy. Don't get me wrong.
His little jawline.
Yeah, but for some reason, for anyone who doesn't know, Matt Rife, very popular on like TikTok and Facebook videos and stuff like that. Like I see quite a lot of him doing like crowd work, and he's always flirting with someone in his audience, or he's always having like a bit of like super friendly banter. And he got his Netflix special like this week or last week. It kind of released.
It launched, and it's a clusterfuck.
Like I think his first quote unquote joke, he just dropped a domestic violence joke in there, like literally first up. And I think like for an audience who's primarily female, it's quite a bold one to open with.
Here's the backstory. He is very popular on TikTok because he is very popular with straight white women, basically.
Yeah.
He appeals to them based on looks. They think he's very funny, very sassy, very snarky, and he took the fame that they gave him after he had, this is speculation, that he had jaw surgery to make himself look more attractive, because after he had the jaw surgery, because if you Google the before and after, before he's an average good looking guy, now he's got a jaw that you could bounce steel off of. And he took the popularity given to him by his female audience, the numbers, the algorithm numbers that he got from his female audience on TikTok that got him his Netflix special. And he basically turned around and is like, I'm a misogynist and I don't care.
And like, to take this on a wee bit further, because obviously there was the initial reaction to that joke that he attempted. He decided to do like an apology on Instagram where he like linked to an external link, and it sent them to websites for helmets for people with disabilities.
Yeah, it's a helmet.
Like the safety helmets.
Safety helmets for people with seizures who fall down and injure themselves. So he's also a misogynist and an ableist.
It is
a
like
swell guy. Just wonderful.
Just kind of like fascinating though. Like in terms, like not in a way of is a really interesting subject, but like, why would you nuke your career like that? It is because I mean beforehand he was just the, you know, fairly attractive comedian guy on TikTok that your mum watches, and now it's like trying to make discourse about himself. Like if you wanted to really nuke your career or like nuke your current standing, I don't know why you would do that, unless of course
Yeah, I have a theory, and it's the theory that he wants to appeal to a more right-wing audience. I think he wants to be on the Joe Rogan podcast, and he's perfectly set himself up to do that.
But like, to what end? Like, I mean, you know, you've already got your Netflix special. I feel like there is actually a general like curse of Netflix specials. If you're a comedian that's in any sort of good moral standing and you're offered a Netflix special, I feel like it's a kind of like a curse.
There are some people who get their Netflix specials and they don't do anything horrific with it, and those people I feel are comedians who've actually come up through the comedy circuit. They've actually worked for their credentials. They've gone through they've done every stand-up in every grotty club possible.
Yeah.
And then there's the ones that are just kind of, they get a little bit famous from like TikTok or, you know, sitcom exposure, and they decide, oh, I can do stand-up. Whereas stand-up is many skills at once. And I have lots of friends that do stand-up, and I've got a friend who's been doing stand-up for 50 years. And I was actually talking to him about this, and he was like, the guy has no sense of timing that doesn't work outside of a TikTok 60-second story.
Yeah, it's funny you say that because, like, I mean, like, don't get me wrong. This guy is apparently like tickets for his shows are like $275 or something like that. They're like that's expensive. Like, yeah, you wouldn't catch me fucking paying that for any gig, really. Like whether it's comedian or whether it's fucking music, I wouldn't pay that much for a ticket to go and see someone live. So you can see who he very much appealing to that middle class suburban mum who thinks he's just the cutest little boy.
It's such a weird, because I actually watched the special. I watched the special with a migraine, so I was very uncharitable with it. Like, I was already going into it going, this guy's a wanker, but I came out of it just like, oh, excuse you, Holly. I came out of it just hating him even more, because you can hear the audience is primarily female. And again, I was talking to my friend who does the stand-up comedy, and he pointed out that when you're doing recordings, you normally look for depth for laughter because it reverberates more, and it's possible that he's angry that he's not getting the same range of laughter that other comedians are getting, because the laugh track for his thing is very feminine sounding, and it doesn't sound as funny to certain like companies and stuff, because they're looking for the different pitches, because the masculine laughter tends to reverberate a bit deeper, so it makes the women's laughter sound more obvious. So to them, it was a really fascinating thing that he pointed out to me. He was just like, he's like, no, it could actually be that he's just annoyed that from a recording standpoint, it doesn't sound as good as other comedians who have a wider audience. So it could be that he's trying to appeal to more men by making these misogynistic jokes to get more men to come to his shows.
But that's like to what end? You're already but you're already selling out venues and charging $275. Like, again, to what fucking end? Like, why would you do that? Like, if like I would be quite content in his position, to be perfectly fair. I mean, like, you know, the amount of times that I've seen, you know, like good-looking mums that are like silicon to hell, like bring him goodie bags, and you know the amount of times that, you know, like there's like women in the fucking audience with like free blowjob on a t-shirt for him and stuff. It's like, what's like, from his position, what's he lacking? Is it like male approval? That's
male approval.
It's a very.
His plan is to get on Joe Rogan. I think he wants male approval. I think he's a very insecure man who he did all the cosmetic surgery and everything else. I don't even think he did it for women. I think he did it to himself to appeal to this idea of hypermasculinity that he's trying to appeal to. I think he's obviously very insecure in himself that he has this wonderful audience that's paying in excess of $200 for him, and he feels it's not good enough. It's bizarre to me. Like, literally straight after the domestic violence joke, he launched into it hating on women who look at tarot cards and crystals. And while we can mock those things all you want for people that, you know, we've talked about in the past, we talked about people who get indoctrinated into cults and stuff, and how it doesn't, you know, it's not common sense stuff to like use crystals instead of going to the doctor. But he's doing it to make fun of them and to make them seem stupid and dumb, and like just the whole comedy was a setup for, yes, I know my audience is primarily female of a certain demographic. I'm going to make them as uncomfortable as possible, but I'm hopefully going to get their husbands to laugh so that the husbands become my fans. And I don't think it worked for a lot of them, or maybe it did. I don't know.
I feel like you're in the wrong kind of industry, though, if you want to try and pivot hard to, because, like, I don't know. I feel like I know I'm not I'm a misogynist, but if I was and I agreed with a comedian who was overly misogynist, I wouldn't pay $275 to go and see it. I mean, like, you're kind of in the wrong industry for that. I mean, I do know people who've spent probably around that to go and see like Jordan Peterson talk, but God, he's not a fucking comedian.
I've been doing comedy circuit. I go to comedy circuits. Used to go to the Stand in Edinburgh all the time when I was younger. And there's the Acme Comedy Club here in Minnesota that I So before COVID, we used to go fairly often,
Mm.
and we paid, I think it was $60 to go see Dwight Slade, who was Bill Hicks's best friend growing up. For anyone who doesn't know Bill Hicks, he was a very kind of outspoken comedian who also said a lot of things that pissed people off.
Mm.
But he was doing it not to be misogynistic. He was doing it to make you uncomfortable so that you'd think about things. Like it's so annoying because a lot of the things he said came true, and it was things that people were upset about because he talked about the evils of marketing and how you're just like, one of his famous lines was, "Oh, you're just sucking on the cock of capitalism." People found that offensive. And now we're in 2023, and I'm like, oh God, he was right. Like, it's just, like,
we all have to suck on the cock of capitalism.
I know, but yeah, I mean, people are also bringing up Bo Burnham. Like, there's so many people who are not insecure with their masculinity who can make uncomfortable content.
Yeah.
Like, the goal is to make you feel something, like maybe amused, but also like to also reflect on things. It's kind of like the court jester. You know, the jesters, everyone always thinks, oh, the jester's just there to make the king laugh. No, the jester's also there to point the finger at the king and go, you're being an idiot.
Yeah.
And they had immunity from that. They were allowed to be like, hey, I'm God's fool. I'm telling you, you're being, don't kill those peasants, like, and it's, some comedians do step into that role where they're very much like, hey, let's look at this really uncomfortable thing that's happening in our society, and I'll try to make you laugh about it. Like, kind of like the what's his name? Oh God, John Oliver.
Right.
Who
Yeah.
does the Last Week Tonight show. He will frequently look at subjects that are harrowing, and he'll occasionally make you laugh so that you don't just give in to the soul-crushing despair. And it takes skill to be able to make jokes out of, the medical
horrible
system.
things happening. Yeah.
Yeah. And I have never come away. Like, there's been a couple of times I've come away from his shows where I've been like, oh, that, like, he made an ableist joke a couple of years ago, mocking people that use disability devices. But he wasn't aware of that. He was saying what his writers told him to do. And it was like this, the infomercials you see on American television for this, like, who would ever use a device that helps you put your socks on? Well, people with, mobility issues. Oh, like, you could see it was that kind of like, oh, we didn't realize that. Oops, sorry. And in other episodes, he's gone through and talked about these things as well, and how it's like a necessity. So it shows kind of growth in humanity. Whereas you have comedians that just want to make you uncomfortable for the sake of being uncomfortable. And I don't think that's comedy. I just think that's bullying.
Yeah. I mean, I think, it's like, I quite like Stuart Lee. Stuart Lee can be quite funny in terms of making people uncomfortable, but I think, he doesn't do it in a way that's like, he's not being offensive about it. He's just putting people in a position where they don't really know if they should laugh or not. And then that makes them want to laugh. And I think, like, a lot of it is, I feel, I don't know, I think there's the comedy that, like, I mean, it's not remotely subtle, the joke that Matt Rife says, like, right at the start. The domestic violence one is so, like, obviously guy just trying to talk to his friends, like, overly masculine, that kind of like joshing with the lads kind of thing, but in a, like, again, don't know why that would be your opener.
It was very weird to watch. It was almost he goes from being, oh my God, so thankful to be here, can't believe it, straight into
joking about a waitress getting punched.
Yeah, but it was a total shift in mannerism as well. Like, you could see he brought his shoulders forward.
He looked really nervous saying it to an extent. Like, he looked uncomfortable, like, changing into the kind of posture to say the joke. It looked really odd.
Like he was trying to be as hyper masculine as possible, and it just came off as very insecure, very, punching down, because that's what it was. And just very kind of, I know I'm saying something controversial, but I'm going to say it anyway because I think it will get some good laughs from the guys in the room. And you could hear the laughter going upwards in a kind of like nervous.
Like,
that doesn't sound.
Welcome to my Netflix special.
Yeah, it was just such a weird. I mean, if you're gonna be pardon my language, if you're going to be a cunt, you got to say it with your whole chest. If you're going to do that,
and don't look even more insecure while you're telling your misogynist jokes.
Exactly.
But yeah, I mean, like, I don't know how much more else could be said. I don't, like, we've not seen any sort of repercussion apart from him being a bit of a twat on Instagram and, like, going down the ableism route. But it looks like a guy who's almost got a plan to nuke how his career is to date and just have, like, a really hard pivot to, I suppose, whatever he wants it to be next. Now, this could obviously just be trying to get on the kind of right-wing circuit, or he wants a bit of controversy to try and get his name out there more. But, like, I don't want to speak too badly about my gender, but, you know, there's plenty of guys telling misogynistic jokes out there. It's like, you know, quite a saturated fucking market, and I don't know why anyone would go and, like, listen to him try and be edgy with it over any other cunt down the pub who wants to say stuff like that. I'm guessing it's controversy farming, but I don't know.
Which is, again, it comes from being on TikTok, because he's used to getting. He didn't come up through, again, as I said earlier, he did not come up through the comedy circuit. He came up through TikTok. He is used to appealing to an algorithm, and nothing fuels the algorithm more than controversy. That's what he was doing. He was playing to his strengths, which is how to be an algorithm clickhole. And I don't think we're going to see much of him in terms of a career. I think he's just going to be an asshole that you hear making occasionally bad comments about. And to be honest, the one thing I've seen is that he went from being the number 2 show on Netflix in the US to being, you know, outstripped by Young Sheldon. And honestly, I don't think there can be a more scathing review that you got beat by Young Sheldon.
Yeah.
I just, the number 1's currently The Crown, Young Sheldon, something else, and then it's Matt Rife, and it's like, oh, you're already losing.
You know what? This is a complete aside. You know what's really weird about Young Sheldon is that they're fuckload of seasons into Young Sheldon. I feel like Young Sheldon's existed for quite a long time now, right? But all of the marketing portrays Young Sheldon as he was in, like, season 1. He's now like he's grown up. He's like an old Young Sheldon, and it's just weird now. It's like every single bit of marketing for Young Sheldon has him as he was when the show first started. They've not shown this actor age at all. It's really weird. You look up what Young Sheldon looks like now. He's like entering. I don't know what age he was when it started. He must have been like 7 or 8. I think he's about 12 now.
He does look exactly the same.
But at the same time, he doesn't.
I know. It's just like the kind of uncanny valley of, like, not aging but also aging at the same time.
Yeah,
that's funny.
And, like, the thing is, if you look him up on, like, IMDb, it's obviously they're trying to keep this man as young as possible. they can't get rid of him.
It's the episode of The Simpsons where you find out that Martin's actually a 36-year-old FBI undercover cop.
Yeah. Is it known for Young Sheldon? How many seasons of fucking Young Sheldon? There's 7 seasons of Young Sheldon. Oh my god.
I can honestly say I've seen none of them.
Yeah, me neither. Like, yeah. Like, I don't know. I never watched Big Bang Theory. I think I tried to watch a bit of it, and then I was just like, nope, this is horrible. But
it
yeah,
relies on secondhand embarrassment too much for me, because I start to cringe inward. I'm like a turtle, I can't do it.
Yeah. Bizarre. Can't believe it's got 7 seasons. But anyway, I think that concludes our fucking Matt Rife chat. God knows where he'll end up. I don't think he's smart enough to do the right-wing political thinker circuit. Like, I don't see him as a Ben Shapiro or anything like that, you know? He's not... He doesn't seem like that kind of guy. I think he's... Yeah. think
I don't
he's
know.
just
I
gonna
think
be a bit shit.
it's like it would be like me complaining about furries enjoying hunger pangs. Like, why would I insult the people with the most money? like,
Yeah.
like why would I piss off werewolf fans? I don't understand. Like, that again, that was a thing that when I first announced hunger pangs, I had people going like, "Good luck with all the furries," and I'm like, "Oh, thank God, yes, please,
Please,
Do you know how much money these people have?
give me that fucking problem. Yeah.
Give me the people with the money to buy my book." Yes, exactly. Just like, oh, I just don't understand. Like, if you have one of the most lucrative markets, white straight women of America, why would you give up on that? Why would you try to alienate that? I don't understand. Like, literally, you find the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow, and you go, actually, I'm going to take a shit on it. Like,
Yeah.
I don't understand. He's such a weird person.
Yeah. Oh, this is a good segue into I've been having a little bit of an existential crisis over the past like week. Because I picked up this book that I want to tell you about. It's called Children of Time. It's by Adrian Tchaikovsky. I hope I've pronounced that correctly. But he's like a fantasy author who Children of Time is actually his first sci-fi book. And it has like absolutely fucked with me like the whole week because I'm now just very yeah, I'm very very aware now of the concept of if we are able to one day cryogenically freeze ourselves, right? The concept of time will just be like fucked for good, right? Like the premise of the story is amazing. So basically, humanity's at war over resources, and they want to colonize the universe as we do. And the plan for this is they create a virus that like basically hyper evolutionizes species. So instead of trying to colonize through generations of humans, they want to put like primates on a terraformed planet, put the virus down, and within like 40 generations, these primates will like hyper evolve and be human, right? And that's the kind of general premise. The whole thing goes horribly wrong, funnily enough, and the terraformed world, they end up spreading the virus over a terraformed world that doesn't have the primates on it. It has spiders on it. And so this is where it gets really cool. So there's a doctor who's like a scientist. Her name's Avrana Kern, and she ends up being in this like tiny little capsule floating around the terraformed world, and she like sleeps for like hundreds and thousands of years at a time. And she started this, and you also get chapters from the spider's perspective, which is really fucking cool. It's good, right? It completely changes my view of spiders, right? Spiders are so fucking cool, right? They're so clever. And so like this little like 0.5 centimeter spider, like you learn about how like they're solitary hunters, but because they get this virus, they start to like work together and they start to grow and mate with each other over time. And you end up with like half a meter like sized spiders who are unbelievably fucking clever and have like their own language and culture and cities and stuff like that. And it's amazing. I actually get bored when there's a human chapter. I'm like, please give me another spider chapter because it's great. So there's this spider called Portia, and she like all of the spiders have the same names, but like each chapter is like another generation. So you can like see it throughout the whole of time, and the spiders have dealt with like war with the ants, and they develop their own language, which is really cool. They like basically play each other notes on webs, and like the vibrations of the web is their language. Because Adrian Tchaikovsky, he's a zoologist. He's got a degree in zoology. So uses all of his knowledge on how like insects work, so like how ants communicate and pheromones and all this kind of stuff, and how the spiders interact with them and everything. It is so fucking good. I'm enjoying the shit out of it. I'm like 300 pages in, and it's wonderful. I'm having a great time with it. But there is that.
Asking, is it kind of like a nature documentary? It sounds a bit like it.
It kind of is, yeah. Like obviously, there's some really good characterization given to the spiders, and you get like really invested in like one generation of spider, and then the next chapter is like a descendant of the spiders that you were just reading about.
Really advanced Charlotte's Web.
Yeah, it's fucking, it's great. It's so good. So yeah, I've been enjoying that because I kind of like brute forced myself to get back into reading because I'm in a little bit of a gaming slump at the moment, and I'm not sure if it's because this year's obviously been really big for lots of games, but like now there's a tiny little bit of a lull. It's either that or it's like I'm burnt out. It's one or the other.
Seasonal depression.
Yeah, it's either that or seasonal depression. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
I mean, gaming to me is I get into a fixation with one game. As people know, I've been playing Gotham Knights religiously since we did the last podcast. And I know some people are really angry at the game for being super grindy. I don't care because I'm in a mood to do that. I'm not really in a place where I want new stuff to get into. And that's I find fair. That at this time of the year, I find myself doing that. And I think it's because I don't have the energy for new stuff. My brain just wants something that's comfortable and easy to just kind of slip into without actually getting too challenged, which sucks because the game we're actually going to be talking about next, I think I would have probably fallen into that very easily with it being a very kind of cozy, kind of like non-challenging, mentally challenging game. And the developer made me not want to play it. So
that's it's a bit of a shame that, to be honest, but we'll get into that in a wee second. I tried to play The Last of Us Part 1 because I hadn't played it. Like the very first time I played it, I think it was on Jessica's like PlayStation 3, and I played like the original. So that's many years ago now. And then obviously this year we've had like the actual series come out. And I don't know. I found myself playing it and got like really bored. Like it's a very, very narrative heavy game. So maybe it was just the fact that I already knew the kind of individual steps of their journey that I wasn't really surprised by anything. But
you just made me realize that we started this year talking about The Last of Us and I'm going, how is that the same year?
Yeah, fuck. Yeah, Jesus. And then like the other game that I've been playing, and it's kind of like I feel like I'm playing it, but I'm kind of keeping it at arm's length at the same time. I'm replaying Kingdom Come Deliverance.
I like that one. I do like that one.
It's really good, but at the same time, it's like a sim as well. It's not like a medieval RPG as such. It's like you're playing as a medieval peasant, and if you want to learn how to use a sword, you've got to train for like 4 weeks of in-game time to get anywhere decent. But it's good though, because I came off the back. I played Cyberpunk 2077, and we had a discussion about that last time. And then I kind of semi-started another Baldur's Gate 3 playthrough, and then I was like, nope, I can't get too invested in that. I will lose all of my time. So yeah, I've just kind of been like dithering about, and that's when I was like, I'm gonna read instead. I'm gonna try and channel this energy into something, because I'll sit and read for hours at a time. If I get into a book, I'll just sit there. I mean, I demolished Hunger Pangs when I started reading that. I couldn't put it down.
Thank you. It's always nice to hear.
Yeah, it's one of those things. Exactly. Tundra, you're on the mark. So yeah, go and pick up Joy's book from the PayHip link in chat, folks.
Can I just briefly say thank you for people who did buy copies this week from my PayHip, because my heating went out and it is snowing in Minnesota just now, and people that bought from my PayHip made sure my furnace was fixed. So thank you very much for that. Thank you for using my PayHip. So, but
yeah, I mean, I've taken this week off from streaming. Burnout. and like I was looking forward to playing games when I came back, and I was trying to get an idea of what my schedule might look like. And there was one game that I'd had wishlisted forever, and it was Spirit Tea. And I don't want to shit talk Spirit Tea as a game, because I know that the person who did the thread wasn't the dev. The dev is a solo guy who has worked exceptionally hard to get any game over the line, but it did leave a bit of a bad taste when I was when I saw the thread.
So for context, we have I don't know if we can pull it up, but there was a thread on Twitter by
I had it up a second ago, and then somewhere, hopefully.
So for those
who
who aren't
my
aware,
young Sheldon tabs.
Spirit Tea is like a cross between Spirited Away meets Stardew Valley. You, as a player, are in charge of a spirit hotel, and you have to renovate it, take care of it, and take care of the spirits, and earn rewards and money and stuff. And it looks fantastic. Like no shade to any of the people that worked on it. It looks amazing. It's just unfortunate that this one person who was involved in some Twitter drama made a lot of people very unhappy.
Yeah, I mean, like this started, and I do think there is this, from my time in the games industry, I feel like there's always a bit of a clamber for people to be seen as like thought leaders within the industry. So you get a lot of people who try and tackle a specific like niche, and this guy seemed particularly keen from a PR perspective to do a deep analysis of how the game's release went. So like, release week. Now I think when he made the thread, the game had been released for maybe like a week and a half, but there was obviously just this burning desire to be like, I want to talk, I want to, get the likes, I want to get the views on like how it performed on Xbox Game Pass, how the marketing went, how all this. Now, bear in mind that this thread starts with the game was profitable on day one, as in $1 million plus on launch day, right? Which is phenomenal. Any game would love that. Absolutely, any game would love that. Obviously, there's AAA games that take a lot more, but any game that is profitable on launch day is a hit as far as the developer's concerned, because the lifetime of that game. You'll notice that games that come out on Steam, they kind of regularly go down in price whenever there's a sale that comes around. So, you start off, you maybe do like a launch sale for an indie game's perspective, you would do it around 10%. You would want to maintain that 10% during sales for as long as possible. And then you would probably go to 15, and then you would go to 20, and then 25, and then you might want to do like a third off, and you basically scale it over the lifetime of the game to the point where, there'll be people maybe 5 or 6 years from now who'll maybe consider picking it up at 80% off or whatever. But that's the way that like these are structured. And obviously for indie games, they're fighting for visibility all the time. So like that's very much one of the kind of key things, and why there has been this huge monumental shift in terms of content creators and the focus on content creators and being content creators getting access to games and being sponsored to play games. And it's all under the guise of marketing. It's not reviews, it's marketing and advertising. And I was saying to a bunch of people who are watching here when we were talking about it in the Discord, I obviously, whenever I'm sponsored, I make sure that I follow all the ad guidelines. I see it's an ad. I see throughout the stream that this has been given to me either by a PR company or by the studio themselves. And, I'm hoping that I get a copy of a Highland Song, which is coming out. That's a game set in the Scottish Highlands that hopefully we'll be playing pretty soon. But you'll have noticed that like throughout my time streaming, it's obviously really, really important that you're transparent about this stuff, because don't get me wrong, I know that a lot of my community are watching for me, but I feel like there's that mutual understanding that when I am streaming a game that I have been given, they are being advertised to, and I think a lot of people recognise that. Some people, like, it might not. I suppose this is the kind of fine balance between how people interpret it, because I think people will be exposed to games that maybe they wouldn't otherwise see unless I played them. But that's the kind of fine line, and that's where, unfortunately, this Twitter thread kind of gets wrong. So the guy, Mike, posted a screenshot of YouTube with Spirit Tea in the search bar and a couple of the videos that kind of first come up. And complained about that they said, we got absolutely zero YouTube coverage at all. Now, in the screenshot, there is a Mad Morph, YouTuber who has streamed new cozy game, Stardew Valley mixed with Spirited Away, and that has 41,000 views. Then got the Cozy Gaming Club with played 30 Days of Spirit Tea, and that's 10,000 views. And you've got a couple other creators who've covered the game. And
I think it was on every single anticipated, like I really
anticipated cozy games, yeah.
Anticipated cozy games. Every single thing I've scrolled past on TikTok and Instagram, it has been featured because the hype around this game has been phenomenal. Because it's like the combination of like, I mean,
Spirited Away, yeah.
Stardew Valley.
It
sounds fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, who wouldn't want to play that?
Yeah. And it was that. I mean, there was one TikToker who had something like 180,000 views, and it was just the anticipation for this game.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, Mike Rose felt the need to say, "Oh, we didn't have any support from any influencers because I don't want to pay for it." And it's like, well, you still got it, you just didn't pay for it. So essentially, you are dismissing free labor.
Yeah, and I think like here there's a fundamental understanding, because I think there's this initial tweet and this initial thread that kicked off the discourse, because they said, go search Spirit Tea on YouTube, you'll see there's just a couple of big videos. Nearly every YouTuber who got back to us wanted money to make a video. Now look, I get it, that's just how this works now. YouTubers want you to pay them to cover your games. Alright, sure. But I just don't want to do that. It feels weird and icky and disingenuous, and I just can't do it. So I guess our games won't get covered on YouTube anymore. Now, because of course the fact that we still managed a $1 million launch without any influencer support makes me think, what could have been achieved if we did pay some people? So maybe I'll be forced to in the future, but God, I really just don't want to. It's so fucking ugh. And the thing with that is, obviously, there was a lot of people who covered the game for free, as in they had tried to email to get a free game code. Now, I suppose, I also just want to kind of clarify here, because we ended up talking about this in Discord as well. I feel like some of my audience were under the impression that every game that I put ad next to, I am getting paid to cover that game, and if only that were the case, I would be absolutely delighted with that. But actually, the reason why I put ad in there is because receiving any product for free that you do a demo of also counts as an ad.
Some people are like, why can't you mark it as gifted? By law in the US, you have to mark it as ad, and the UK as well.
And the UK.
So you can't just put it as gifted, you have to put ad on it. So sometimes you'll see ad/gifted to clarify that, but it's not that, it feels as if we're being forced to be disingenuous when we say, oh, this is like, it's gifted, but it's not an ad. But it's the stipulation put on us by the tax people. Yeah. So,
and I think Gray's made a great point in chat there. Feels something got lost here. Creators who are games influencers versus creators who are games reviewers. There are overlaps, but they're not the same thing. And I'd say the vast majority of, content creators / influencers, if you want to call them that, they are not running review channels. I would say it is completely disingenuous, and I would argue, unethical if you are paid to review a product and you accept payment for it, because you will be inherently biased. And when I've
Yeah.
been, I've been played games that I've been gifted, and I've had mixed reviews quite a lot of the time. There's been some games this year that I've played where it's not been all rosy and wonderful, and some you've just got to kind of see it as it is. But what I think a lot of people don't quite understand, and what a lot of people who there was the initial reaction to this thread, and then there was like the backlash to the backlash, where a lot of the gaming press, who are quite a clique to say the very least, they reacted to this in a way that all content creators don't deserve to be paid at all, because gaming press, whether it's IGN or whatever, don't get paid to review games. Whether or not they actually do get paid to review games is up for question, with some of the interesting scores that they give out. But I think it was the kind of, and I suppose this is one thing we've kind of got to constantly remind ourselves, is that the games industry is pretty immature in general, as in it's not a very old industry, it's a young industry. And I think people will probably get hung up. If I was to say I am covering a game, it's because I've been sent a key and I'm streaming it. If a games reviewer says they're covering a game, it means they're writing a review about it. And I think this was quite deliberately misinterpreted for discourse on Twitter. I think there was a lot.
Deliberate. It did feel deliberate to me, but just watching it from like a book side of things, publishers know the difference between sending out ARC copies, which are our advanced review copies, which is what a lot of these people asking for the free keys were. To me, asking for a free key is like asking for an ARC. You're not obligated to give a good review, but you are wanting to get on it so you can talk about it because it looks interesting to you. Usually, if you don't like it, you don't say anything. But if you want to make sure that a big author or a big book reviewer talks about your thing, you schedule a payment for that, because it's marketing at that point, not a review.
Yeah, and that's that is it at the end of the day. I mean, people, again, paying for a review score, I'm completely against that. But like, people don't pay me to review the game, they pay me to put it in front of the audience that I have cultivated over years. And that's before we get into the whole scheduling and editing and all this kind of stuff. Sometimes there's can you make us TikToks for it? And it's like, at that point, you're just outsourcing your marketing to a streamer. You're not paying for a review. So yeah, it did end up coming across as pretty.
There was one cozy gamer who, they were in the tweet, and they pointed out that they did 40 plus hours of work on the free coverage that they did manage to do. And then for him to turn around and say, we had no help from online content creators.
Yeah. And the thing really is like that cozy creator wasn't expecting payment for it either. And I think a lot of people ended up saying, like, they spun this as being about the money, where like it, for a lot of people, it was you actually just shat all over me, even though I put in a whole bunch of effort to cover the game. They didn't expect payment for it, and they paid for the game because they didn't receive a code for free. Now, like, on the flip side as well, I think content creators are almost entirely in their right to ask for payment for certain things. The reason for this is, like, I get sent like 10 keys a week now for games, right? As in, like, I don't even apply for these keys. People, like, I will say one thing, and this is just from a data protection perspective, it's absolutely non-existent in the influencer manager space. I think that people swap spreadsheets and email addresses and everything like anybody's business. So that I am.
It's the same with the book side of things as well. Like I'm on a list for some publisher, and I'm like, how did I get there? And it's basically, oh,
Yeah.
something else gave me your details from someone else who got the deal. I'm like, cool.
Yeah. That's not great. But I mean, it's one of those things that in a year of games that's been as good on the games side as possible, like people have absolutely packed schedules. You're not like when you pay a content creator who would maybe otherwise do organic like coverage, you're paying to skip the queue and get slotted in early for launch as well.
Compensating them for any loss of revenue they'd normally get from their usual audience.
Yeah.
So like a couple of the people I saw that they reached out to asking to cover their game, they would not be interested in a cozy game. So they'd lose their usual audience numbers and audience figures. So that's what you're also compensating for. You're compensating for any potential loss of income from covering something that is not usually in your wheelhouse. It would be like me reviewing horror books instead of romance. My usual audience is going to go, not too keen on that.
Yeah.
It's a very kind of like, it's an understanding within the industry, and at least in publishing, and I think that's what the game industry is lacking, because as you say, they are very young as an industry, that they're kind of figuring things out, and it's really weird to see these companies just not getting it.
Yeah, to be honest, I think the biggest hurdle to the games industry tends to be the language anyway. Is like they borrow from a lot of things. So like content creators started using coverage, which to be honest, probably they shouldn't have. But that got all of you think of coverage, you think press coverage, and that like assigned content creators as being part of the press as opposed to being part of marketing. Which is like, it's the same with producers in the industry, right? Producers can be anything. They can be like people who are like program managers or project managers at the end of the day, or they can be completely, they can be executive producing and not have anything to do with it. So I feel like the industry needs to kind of get its own language sorted, but that'll never fucking happen so long as all the studios are kind of siloed in their own thing and they don't really, they've all got their own ways of working, which obviously makes it a lot harder for people to jump from studio to studio. You've got to be in with a certain crowd in order to be able to do that. But yeah, I think it is interesting the discourse that came from that, because it was like, I think there was smaller content creators completely within their right minds to go, thanks for shoving us into like a kind of useless scrap heap, and kind of blatantly disregard the videos that we made for free that helped advertise the game to more people. And then
legitimately, every time I scrolled TikTok, every time I scrolled Instagram, I would see a cozy gamer recommending it.
Yeah.
And I mean, I knew about it before from you, but if you hadn't told me about it, that's how I would have found out about it. And the sheer number of people recommending it to me, I probably would have looked into it. Because it looks like something I'd enjoy.
It's the thing now that like I was really looking forward to streaming it. I was really, really looking forward to streaming it. It'd been on my wish list for probably about a year since I first heard about it, and like even though I know that like he wasn't the dev and anything, I can't bring myself to do it now. It was just, it left such a bad taste in my mouth that I was like, nah, I'm just not going to bother. He did.
But I'm also not inclined to give them any free coverage.
Yeah.
I'm not inclined to be like, because when I stream very rarely, and normally it's whenever I'm doing a Frostpunk hyperfixation.
Yeah.
When I do though, 200, 300 people show up because and I'm like, oh, if I could have done that with Spidity, that would have been quite cool.
Yeah.
But now I'm just like, nah, like I'll do a game that's done something else or whatever. But it's just it's very disheartening as someone who does a lot of stuff I do a lot of things for free. Actually have a bunch of books I got sent by publishers and by indie authors that I'm going to be talking about coming up for 2024. And I wouldn't expect payment for them because the industry I'm in runs on word of mouth.
Yeah.
But there are some times when a publisher does say to me, "Oh, if you make sure that what you say is favorable, you'll get paid for it." And I decline that a lot of the time because I don't want to be coerced into saying, "Yeah, this is great," when I don't actually like something. So it makes it really disheartening to have someone who is also part of like a small creative team to be like, "Yeah, fuck those small creators. They don't do anything for us."
Yeah.
And it's
The,
like,
the funniest thing is I saw quite a lot of people who were, again, trying to counter the backlash here by saying the payment that the content creators get is YouTube ad revenue, as if that's like any sort of substantial amount of money. Like, I'm not even eligible for that. Like, I need to get 1,000 subscribers and before I'm allowed to turn ads on. And it's like, I wouldn't really want to turn ads on anyway, but like, there's so many content creators out there that are like sitting at like, my level of subscribers. They just produce gaming content. And it's like the only way that they can feasibly earn from that is obviously trying to grow as a creator. And I know, like, and again, I always feel I have to apologize for talking shop too much, but it's like there is a bit of give and take. I know that I've accepted like free keys and stuff like that, and really chased and taken like you even bought upcoming games to try and make that content, to try and expand your follower base, and you can get really into the whole industry side of it, which is kind of minging, but it's like there is a bit of give and take before you make that jump into being paid for your content. But if you've been doing this for a long time and people just think they can chuck a key at you and suddenly you're roped into like covering the game, it just seems a bit naff,
It takes it very much for granted that what you do doesn't matter. And that bothers the shit out of me. I always say saying this, but I always say, like, I don't think that I'm a big like, I'm not a big person. I'm not a big Twitter person. I'm not a big TikTok person. But the numbers I pull on Tumblr are
You're
still
quite big on Tumblr,
so,
to be fair.
Yeah, but the numbers I pull in are not modest. Like, there are several people, when I've talked about their book, they've gone from being, even with their publisher's official backing, they've gone from not really getting that many views and clicks and buys to suddenly being Amazon #1 bestseller within 12 hours.
Yeah.
And that's because my audience loves to click a link. They love books. And they know that I won't push anything at them that I personally do not like, because I've built that. I've told them, like, I'm not going to sell you something. I'm not going to tell you something's good if it's not. And I don't think that's something to sneer at. I think if whatever your random house can't get you to Amazon #1 bestseller, but I can, and you say that what I'm doing is useless, fuck you. It's very, like, obviously with games it's slightly different, but it's still labor. They're still taking advantage of the audience and the community that you've taken time to build.
Yeah.
Like, there are so many games that I bought because someone who I like their content said to me, "Listen, I know the reviews are bad, but this is actually really good. People are just being salty because it's not Stardew."
Yeah.
And like, I've taken chances on things, and some of them I've returned because I'm going, nah, I'm not really feeling it. Other things completely like take over my personality, and I'm going, yeah, that person was right. Actually, it's different from what people thought it would be.
Yeah.
And it's really, really just kind of, I keep saying it's so disheartening to see another small-ish creator go, yeah, your labor doesn't mean anything. The time and energy you've put into building your community and to building the trust that people have in what you do doesn't mean anything. The free labor doesn't mean anything. And it's just like, it means a lot. It's especially, like, people always talk about how it's impossible to have a profitable audience on Tumblr. I'm not doing it for profit necessarily. I'm doing it for community. But there's no denying the fact that publishers send me books because they're going, oh, you've actually figured out how to get Tumblr to click on links. and they can't recreate it because they try and it doesn't work. And it's because, well, you're a company and people know you're trying to sell them things. Whereas I go, yeah, that book was all right, but I prefer this one. They know
Yeah.
that's a genuine person going, oh, actually, you should probably read this one instead. You know, it's just the lack of consistency across the board. Like, again, I think you're right. I think the lack of clarity over language made that tweet very bad. I think his not understanding how to, you know, his own lack of not understanding there's a difference between sponsorships and reviews. Like,
Yeah.
that's 101 basic marketing. How are you missing that in this day and age?
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
It's the thing is that I saw quite a lot of people that I like having. I've worked in the industry for a wee bit now, and I've worked with multiple studios as well, and it was just the fact that like people who I constantly see held up on Twitter as these like real thought leaders within the industry were coming away with like the most like piss-brained takes on what content creation was. And like, you know, these are like level designers and, you know, like game designers and devs, and it's like how how are you so entrenched in the industry but you've not made that like mental leap into how beneficial us like a massive part of your marketing is. And the worst ones were the people who tried to compare it to Gamergate. They tried to make it all about it's unethical for content creators to do it. And I remember 10 years ago, and it's like, yeah, because Gamergate was about ethics in game journalism, apparently, as opposed to just misogyny and right-wing ghouls having a go at people.
Do you know what? Do you know what it kind of reminds me of? It kind of reminds me of Jodie Picoult's indie. Don't get into indie publishing because it's bad for the industry. It's bad for your career.
Yeah,
it's people that are taking. It kind of came off as that, and it's that kind of like people who've been in the industry for a long time, and they think that the industry is how it was when they got into it.
Yeah, I mean, like they were 100% parroting, like, you know. It was almost like the past 5 years, let alone 10 years, has completely not happened. Like, content creations came on massively. I mean, single TikToks can make an indie game a bestseller on Steam. You know, like
you just have to look at the controversy over the TikTok shop at the minute and how much buying power.
What's going on now?
For those on, oh, do you not know?
No.
Okay. So the TikTok shop, sorry, Holly clapped over her head. The TikTok shop is getting a bunch of people pulled down because they were selling copyrighted material. And it's all these people going, oh no, I'm losing my income because I was selling Disney knockoff merch and I didn't know that was, I didn't know that the most viable company in the world was going to come after me.
Right.
But these people were selling products by them, they were earning so much money from like either the TikTok shop or just Amazon affiliates, which again, I've talked about this so often, the number of TikTok Insta girlies who don't declare that they're Amazon affiliates. They just show you the product, like,
and then drop you that little link
in bio. And it's just like, you have to declare that that's an ad. Mm-hmm. You have to. And they don't. So they're all getting completely destroyed at the minute. But these people make a fortune from just having popular accounts that are going, oh, look at my, this product, or oh, look at this software I use. And just the power of online presence and people who are constantly hustling can really, make or break something that you're doing. Like I get a couple of like people mentioning hunger pangs on TikTok every couple of months. And I'm always like, why the hell is because I don't post anything on my TikTok. I'm mostly just there to doom scroll. And I get
and be sent Stardew memes
by you.
Yeah.
And I always am shocked by the number of people with the sudden uptick, and I'm like, oh, where's this coming from? And I check it, and I'm like, oh, that's nice. That's really this sweet that Book Talk's actually looking into my stuff, considering I put no effort into being part of Book Talk, and but even the power of one content creator really liking your thing. I think I got 10 sales from that one person talking about it on TikTok. And I was like, wow, that's amazing. That's fantastic. That's like, it's better than nothing. You know what I mean? Like a lot of the people that talk about, oh well, I'm only getting 10 likes or 10 views. If you had 10 people in your house demanding to buy something from you, you'd be overwhelmed by that.
Yeah.
But there's there's all these things on TikTok that's like, oh, I finally broke the 2,000 view limit, and that I'm finally doing well. And I'm like, if you're getting any views, if you're getting any sort of feedback, that's good.
Yeah.
Like that.
I think. Like for me, I'm maybe the TikTok algorithm's just like shit for me, but every single time I come across someone who's like actively trying to sell stuff, it's always the weirdest shit. Like there's a guy that's selling like packs of felt tip pens, and I've seen him like multiple times, and it's like, who the fuck is buying all these felt tip pens? It's like there must be like nurseries that are just like really going to town.
The one I always get is like this, it's like a laser thing for your face, and it's like, oh, the green light smooths out your pores and the red gets rid of sun damage. And I'm going, you're basically just taking an LED light and shining it on your face. And I get that constantly. And I'm just like, who is buying this? And amusingly, that's one of the things that's getting taken off the TikTok shop, because it's a rip-off product of an actual laser product used by an actual company. So, but yeah, I don't believe you didn't know about the TikTok shop. People, no,
I'm destroyed. I don't really explore the because there is the shop tab that I'm never on. I've never clicked that in my life. And the one thing that was actually gutted, and I did debate have like live streaming to TikTok, right, at the same time as a stream to Twitch, and because you're allowed to multi-stream, and unfortunately, to do it on TikTok, you need to have a stream key from them, and they're only like, you have to have an agent in order to, like, an agent that works with TikTok to get you that stream link. And it's like, why don't you just let me fucking do it? It would make more sense. But
the way that TikTok monetizes a lot of things and the way they handle things is very much, if you're not getting the amount of algorithm, if you're not, it goes back to, what's his face, Matt Rife. He's popular with the TikTok algorithm because he generates clicks.
Yeah.
If you're not doing content that generates clicks, if you're not snappy and funny, or if you're not controversial, if you're not yelling at the camera, it's very difficult to actually monetize what you're doing on there. Yeah. And a lot of profitability on TikTok comes from just theft, unfortunately. Whether it's product theft or it's content theft. Like, I mean, there's one creator who I know makes a lot of money in ads and they're the TikTok creator pool, and their most liked video is reading my posts.
I had that fucking the other week. Someone had screenshotted one of my Tumblr posts and read it, and I was like, you bandit, I was like, I don't really care that much from it was just a fucking whatever post, but it was the fact they took my name out the screenshot. I was like, come on, at least give me that. Wild.
I lost, at least for me, when they put when crucifix nail nipples get stolen again. I've seen it when it happens because people let me know about it, and there's people underneath going, this is written by Joy Demora, you should go buy her book. And I'm like, thank you, Beth. That's very sweet of you. But then the person gets mad and starts deleting the comments because they don't want to redirect the potential whatever. Like, I've had to file DCM takedowns against people who try to monetize. They've put crucifix nail nipples text on shirts.
Yeah.
And I'm like, absolutely the fuck not.
No,
I'm not even making money off of it. You don't get to. And then I'm the villain from that. And I'm like, this is content that I don't like. I signed an NDA for all these things. I can't even fully tell you the title of this thing. You are not putting this on a t-shirt.
Yeah.
First of all, you're not putting my writing on the t-shirt. The thing that makes crucifix nail nipples funny is me.
Yeah, it's your narration is absolutely fuck all to do with, because the content isn't funny. The content of crucifix nail nipples is horrible. But it's your narration and spin that's great.
And people were putting my quotes on t-shirts for the TikTok shop, and I was like, no, absolutely the fuck not.
See, it's funny that you get stuff like that in the TikTok shop, and I get people who are selling felt tip pens and toilet roll, but it's always like individual. But the thing is like, see if they were saying, I have this giant box of toilet roll that'll do you for the whole fucking year. You'll be able to wipe your arse all year round and you won't need to buy toilet roll ever again, I would be like, yeah, sure. But like, they're selling me like individually wrapped rolls of toilet roll. I'm like, why? Who the fuck is buying this? Just go to Asda. What are you doing?
Is that the Bamboo Club or something? There's a toilet roll brand that's like eco-friendly, but everything's individually wrapped. And I'm like, that seems worse.
Yeah. I can guarantee that the eco-friendly part is that it's single ply and your finger goes right through it. Ruins your day. Yeah, I remember that was a thing. And then there was the, like, tell you what is the future, right? And I think it is astonishing that toilet roll companies can't believe we're talking about this on the fucking Iosphere. Toilet roll companies should remove the tube in the middle. Tubeless toilet roll is a thing now, right? And it makes so much sense. Why are we wasting all the, like, to get the fucking mulch to make the tube? Like, what's the fucking point?
Structural integrity on your toilet roll holder, I suppose.
It's not, because you can actually make the structural integrity fine with just toilet roll. Because you can, like, they do this thing where they like add an extra loop, and then by the last sheet it comes undone and it's another sheet of toilet roll. The structure, you can put it on your toilet roll holder. It doesn't rip, doesn't do shit. Sorry, I'm a tubeless toilet roll man now. I've been fucking converted. I think everyone should do it. Go out to your local supermarket, buy tubeless. This is now an ad, apparently. I like, because you know what it is. How many times have you got like multiple of those little fucking tubes dotted around your toilet? It's a nightmare, and then you're always arguing with your family over who didn't take the fucking tubes down at the bin. Sorry, I've got trauma from growing up. It does.
See, we got around that by just putting a trash can in the bathroom and they just go straight in there.
People don't fucking bother. That's the thing. I've encountered it. I've walked into other people's houses. I have been invited, but I've seen it, and they just leave all the tubes. It's like, no, okay, so there's two things that I'm overly passionate about now, and it's tubeless toilet roll and burgers should be wider, not taller. Yes, honestly. No, I get you. You know what? You know what's even better than recycling? The thing not being made in the first place.
That's true.
Because I'm just thinking, like, toilet roll companies must churn out fucking millions of those tubes. I brought this up with my mum, who's a rainbow leader. And she's like, yeah, but you'd be depriving me of like all the crafts, because she always does like turns them into a rabbit at Easter, or turns them into a reindeer at Christmas. I was like, yeah, but nah, I don't know. It's time. We need to move on. They're great for Warhammer scenery. Okay, yeah, jeez. Okay, you've beat me on that one. Sorry, that was an absolute tangent and a half.
Complete tangent. It's fine. I did say that on the podcast, whatever else takes our fat on the Tumblr, whatever else we happen to talk about. But
yeah, because we were also going to talk about the most influential women in Scotland.
Oh, for fuck's sake!
I like, the moment I saw this, I was like, this is definitely like something to trigger Joy. Let me send her it.
Just send flashback. You sent it into my Discord chat, and you knew the response you were gonna get was just swearing for a solid minute.
It was like if there was like the bleep noise, just bleeping out all of your obscenities. But yeah, like the BBC, and this, like, I remember I've been criticised on Tumblr a couple of times for calling the BBC like propaganda, right? I hate the way that the BBC operate. I generally do. I think their politics is terrible. I think how they approach culture is horrible as well. And I remember I got attacked on Twitter by someone who was part of BBC The Social, because I said that BBC The Social's terrible as well. Because for those who need to know about BBC The Social, it was pitched at like young people who had something specific, like something interesting to chat about, right? They were creators, they were cosplayers, they were people who played games and did let's plays and all this kind of stuff. But the problem was the BBC The Social tried to like scoop all of these people up. They didn't want them to have a YouTube channel and give them support and, you know, equipment, or even like, you know, passing on some knowledge about how, you know, the world of media and entertainment work. They wanted to like do it all in house, and they wanted the creator to come in and it be like published under BBC The Social, right? And it was always really, really minging. And to go back to what we were saying, the BBC put out an article that was like the women that have changed Scotland, and they chose fucking Diana Gabaldon. Come on,
American.
Like, yeah, an American movie. Like, she's
writes bad historical Scottish romance, and she's not even a historian. She's a marine biologist.
Yeah, but apparently she's revolutionised Scottish tourism. I'd forgotten that nobody wanted to visit Scotland before she published Outlander. It's like, come on, fuck. It's
Never
like
mind the fact that the people that go on her tours have desecrated Scottish sites.
Yeah.
Never mind that the Clan Fraser, there's a marker at the Battle of Culloden for the Clan Fraser. Never mind it's been fucking graffitied by her fans who want to take a piece of Clan Fraser with them because of the book.
I'm pretty sure that did someone, you know the Cluthies, did someone not tidy up a site? There was like people had been like tying, you know, like the Cluthies where they tie ribbons to trees and stuff. I'm pretty sure someone went in and tidied that.
Someone went in and took them down because people were tying too many things to the tree and it was starting to rot the tree.
Right, okay. That's maybe a different thing.
Yeah, but there's people were doing like they're like prayer ribbons, which are fine in moderation, but there were so many of them happening from these tours, it was literally damaging the trees, and the trees were getting rotted as the synthetic material was just not, you know, it's different if you're using a biodegradable material, but they're using like synthetic stuff and it damages the tree, it damages the wildlife. It's basically just putting plastic into the Scottish wilderness because you know, we don't have enough of that already. And it's a very kind of a lot of the Outlander fans go to these places and they do things like that. Like they go to the standing stones that she kind of made famous, and they're all touching it, and it's starting to erode. Yep. And it's like, wow, this thing survived literally from the Iron Age, and you fuckers are destroying it.
Yep.
Don't touch it. Don't touch the thing.
Yeah, I don't mind it as much on the statue of Greyfriars Bobby because he's got a wee gold nose now.
Yeah, and also
it's kind of nice. That's not ancient, and it's a statue that was chucked up.
Statues can be repaired.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Be remade. But these standing stones were put there for, you know, they think now that Stonehenge is basically a giant musical calendar. And they had to put Stonehenge behind the barrier because people were destroying it by touching it and everything else. But they're not putting those same protections in place for Scotland because reasons, I guess.
Yeah, funding probably.
The idea that she revolutionised Scottish tourism when Scottish tourism was one of the biggest contributors to our
economy since forever.
Yeah, because people have always been going to the Scottish Highlands.
Actually, did you know that Diana Gabaldon invented the Fringe? She invented the Fringe Festival and she invented shortbread, as well as the Outlander series.
Fuck off. Absolutely. No.
Man, it's like... I don't understand. And of course, like, it was that fucking tweet that she did as well, where she was like, she butchered... She butchered she butchered contemporary Scottish history as well as old Scottish history as well.
The SNP came into power in the 1950s. Scotland has forgotten its own language. Hen, we didn't have our own parliament until recently.
Yeah, it was like, yeah, the SNP, they did exist, but they didn't come to power until 2007. It's just hell.
Oh, thank you, Waffle Fraud, for finding my my post where 17-year-old me accidentally told Diana Gabaldon her book was shit because I didn't know who she was and she was fishing for compliments.
Oh, well.
I've talked about this before. If you want to find out the full story, it's in one of our earlier podcasts. You'll see it labeled with Diana Gabaldon.
Yeah, you can go and find it.
She came into the restaurant where I was working. It was a slow day. And she basically started fishing for compliments from me. And she started it with, have you heard of Outlander? And I just went, yep, I've heard of it. And completely just like, yeah, you can tell the author's never been to Scotland and doesn't really respect our culture and our history.
Yeah.
Still true. Still true.
I like that. Oh, I just need to make a light mention of Diana Gabaldon and we get that story. It's
like my Winter Soldier sleeper agent. You just mentioned Diana Gabaldon. I'm just
Diana Gabaldon is your tubeless toilet roll and white burgers. Yeah, but I think that was just the way like the BBC kind of approached that.
I mean, the BBC is so patronising when it comes to anything Scotland.
Yeah.
I mean, even the pictures they use to talk about Scottish things, like one of the last things when they talked about Diana Gabaldon, all they showed was shirtless men in kilts screaming, and they were talking about bringing civilization to the north. And it's like when Americans ask me, "Oh, do you have television in Scotland?" We fucking invented it.
Yeah.
Like I don't. We're not living in the middle. Some of us are living in the middle of nowhere, but like it's it's this weird idea, romanticized idea that it's perpetually stuck in the past because people love to romanticize it to a point where it doesn't make sense. And that's what Diana Gabaldon has contributed to with her false history. We
do know somewhere that's stuck in the past, and it's Glenrothy, a newly invented Scottish town for Hollywood.
You're going to make me watch this.
Oh, we are. I'm Joy. We're not just going to watch it. We're going to watch it with everyone. we were going to have a movie night where we all tune in and cry the entire way through.
For anyone who hasn't heard of Glenrothy, it's the new is it Netflix?
So I'm trying to remember. It's like, hold on, I need to find the thing on my phone because I screenshotted it and I was like, I think I tagged you like 6 times in it. Be like, Joy.
I didn't see it until I was searching your blog for something else. So I don't know
what were you searching for?
I don't even remember because I got so distracted by the film, so I don't think I found it. It was one of your posts about something else, and then I got completely sidetracked by the Glenrothys. It's another A Castle for Christmas. An American comes to Scotland and fixes their lack of Christmas spirit.
Yes. So I have no idea who anyone is. Californian actress Jill Winternitz. Anyone know who that is?
No.
Well, Jill Winternitz arrives in the Scottish village of Glenrothy, not Glenrothes, an actual place, Glenrothy, which she's disappointed by the lack of Christmas decorations in the village. She discovers that the festive season has not been celebrated in Glenrothy since 1640. Fucking Jessica was like, this Glenrothy, the Scrooge of Scotland. It's just like, they do not want anything to do with it. You know what, actually, Glenrothy's just really based and they push back against the capitalism nightmare that Christmas has become.
They're either just anti-capitalist or they're Calvinists and they just reject, like, oh yeah, Christmas isn't actually in the Bible, so we don't celebrate it. You know?
It'd be fucking funny as shit if this was like, they went and it just turned out it was the wee freeze. That would be so funny. Right, I need to know who Jill Winternitz is. She was in The Sandman.
Oh, okay.
She's been in Good Omens, actually. She plays Harriet Dowling, whoever that is.
Okay.
Holy shit, is the film out? Joy, it's got a 6.2 on IMDb. On a trip to Scotland, an installation designer finds herself helping a small community create a festive light display. Despite the interventions of a wealthy heir, forced to work together, they unite to bring seasonal magic to light. Holy fuck. I need, like, something needs to be said about Americans, like, and their horniness for Christmas, for one, but also, like, the weird bringing festive cheer. Like, that's fucking murder. Right, let's find out. Is the main man Scottish?
I
Sorry.
have so. Sorry, I'm literally having to gather myself because I'm so angry right now. There are so many good Scottish romance books by Scottish authors that don't get picked up, and shit like this continues to get made. And it's all about teaching Scottish people to enjoy American capitalism. I hate it.
Holy shit, Joy. Someone, hold on. How the hell did I need to find a link to send this? The poster for the film has the guy in the kilt and a woman in a red dress with the tartan. Look at the lion rampants in the background. Why are they sideways? What the fuck? What's going on?
They put the flags up wrong.
What the fuck? Hold on. What's it called? It's a Scottish Christmas wank.
Christmas in Scotland. It's just literally Christmas in Scotland. She's installed them the wrong way. She's some interior designer. That was.
It's part of the aesthetic.
It's like when they turn books around so that it's the spines are against the back of the thing and all you can see is pages for aesthetic reasons, and I'm like, I fucking hate you.
Sorry for that horrible link in chat, but if you click on it, you'll see the horizontal lion rampants that are trying to attack the ceiling from either side. Holy fuck. Oh wait, hold on. Is that another one? Wait, oh my god, Joy, we might. Holy shit, there's two. No. Joy, there's two.
No.
There's I still don't know what this was. There's Christmas in Scotland and there's A Merry Scottish Christmas. And A Merry Scottish Christmas is a Hallmark film. Like, actual stamped Hallmark Channel film.
Can't do this. I'm not strong enough. I don't know.
Holy shit! Sorry, hold on. The one that I just said, the A Merry Scottish Christmas, has the lassie who played Gretchen Wieners from Mean Girls as the lead. Holy shit! Oh, we've got to watch these back to back and cry.
All at once.
Yes.
Oh.
We have to watch. We'll get to we'll allow people to vote on which one we watch first.
What? Sorry, I looked up the poster for A Merry Scottish Christmas. They've airbrushed all the pores off their skin. They look.
They're also like weirdly apart. It says royalty is relative is the slogan for the film, but they're also standing so far apart. It's like they've agreed to divorce just before they took the photo. Holy shit! They have
no skin texture. They don't look real. They look like they're getting divorced and they're just posing for pictures. But no, my screen put it up and it was just this big poreless face of a man.
Holy fuck! Sorry, Grey Trees pointed out that the lassie Lacey Chabert, who played Gretchen Wieners, almost exclusively does Christmas films now.
I mean, if you've got your niche, niche, stick with it. But get out of my fucking country.
Oh man. So hold on, I'm yet to find out. So the guy who's in that, the guy who's in A Merry Scottish Christmas as, I am guessing, the Scottish guy.
His name is Scott. His name is Brad.
His name's Scott Wolf. Is it not?
Is that not the actor?
No, I think it's Brad Morgan. Brad Morgan is the Scottish guy, and Scott Wolf is the.
No, Scott Richard Wolf is an American actor. He is known for his role in the television series Party of Five as Bailey Salinger, as Jake Hartman in Everwood, and as Chad Decker in. No, his name. They've called him Brad.
Brad Morgan is his Scottish name in the film.
Scott Wolf, his actual name sounds more Scottish than the name they've given him.
And easy. So he was born in Boston.
Fantastic! I can't wait for that accent.
I'm still working my way through the Christmas in Scotland cast. The three top cast, or none of them are Scottish. Jane McFarlane is known for Outlander and The Exorcism of Karen Walker. I was going to say Jane McFarlane's up there with potentially being Scottish.
Actually, not guaranteed.
Yeah.
I can't believe there's 2 this year. No.
I looked. So Hobson's is a website where I think people can put up that they're a voice actor, and there is Jane McFarlane on there, and the description is Scottish, warm, smooth, expressive. Age range 40s to 50s.
Sounds like a cup of tea.
Yeah.
Like a Scottish blend.
And the dashing lad who is playing the actual Scottish wealthy landlord is best known for Outpost, Rise of the Spetsnaz, and Outpost Black Sun, which I think is like a proper, like, really naff Nazi zombie film from like 2008 maybe. Give the people what they want.
Getting some top talent then, it seems, for everyone to just... I mean, literally, they could go to the Royal Academy in Glasgow and just pick any actor and they'd just be just as well known and do just as good a job. Probably better because they'd actually be Scottish.
I was going to say, pluck someone off the fucking street here and you'd probably get a better effort. So we've got a merry Scottish Christmas and Christmas in Scotland to look forward to. And the good thing is that I have a hard ban on Christmas movies until at least the first. So we don't need to watch it for the next 4 fucking days. Jesus Christ. Why does Ireland get this? Ireland must get this as well, right? There must be Irish Hallmark films.
I'm actually gonna Irish Christmas movies.
Like, there's gotta be.
Christmas at Castle Hart seems to be an Irish one.
But like, do you think like does like Australia get them? Is there like Hallmark films that are marketed to Australia and they go and they like fucking work on a kangaroo farm and it's all twee?
I actually did see a Christmas one that was set in Australia and she inherits her mum's B&B in the American outback, and that was actually pretty good.
Yeah,
but it was still a Hallmark Christmas movie, but it was just there was kangaroos.
And I imagine it'd be warm as well.
Yeah. I'm not seeing a lot of Irish ones. That's an untapped market. We should inform the American. We should inform Netflix, and no, we shouldn't. We should not inflict this on other people. I like how I'm sorry if you're listening to this on Spotify, but this has just turned into a complete, absolute tangent of a podcast.
Yeah. just all of us kind of going. That is wild, though, isn't it? I don't know why. Can the Scottish government like intervene? Can we be like, sorry, Hollywood, no?
A lot of these things get grants from Scottish art foundations, and it's like, why?
Fucking better not.
They do, like that the Figaro one? The
Falling for
whatever-
Figaro. Jesus
Falling for
Christ,
Figaro,
that was rough.
that got a grant from the Scottish Arts Group, and I don't know why. Like, it's very weird to see, like, oh yeah, well, it's set in Scotland, so it's good for us. Not if none of the cast are Scottish. Like, in The Castle for Christmas, a lot of the Scottish people in the town were English pretending to be Scottish. You're telling me you couldn't have gone north and just hired a bunch of Scottish actors?
You would think, but probably not. No. Joy, I absolutely hate to say this, but there might be a third.
No. You stop looking right now.
There might be a third. Oh no, sorry, you're Saved by the Bell. It was one that we missed last year. Called
thank God.
Saving Christmas Spirit. They really do like just slapping Christmas in the title, eh?
Do
you want
what
to?
was that one about?
Oh! Oh my God, Joy! You fucking hell! You right? Hold on. When brilliant and sharp-witted archaeologist Lucy Stewart decides to spend her Christmas break in the Scottish Highlands, she goes on a quest to find the ruins of a shrine to ancient goddess Bera, the Queen of Winter. She checks into a manor house which is run by the boisterous Edina McAvoy, who believes it's inhabited by the Christmas-loving ghost of her husband. Lucy enlists the aid of the charming Duncan McAvoy, Edina's son, to help her navigate potential sites. Duncan owns a struggling whiskey distillery. A struggling whiskey distillery. Come on to fuck. it's like there's one thing in Scotland that's not struggling at the moment. It's fucking whiskey distilleries. He's Joy.
What's he doing? Drinking it himself?
Well, I here's a hint. I think I know why it's struggling now. He's hoping that his new scotch called Christmas Spirit can save his business from a hostile takeover.
Hurt me like that. Why do you hurt yourself like this?
I don't know. It's fucking funny. Oh, Jesus fucking Christ. How do they... I feel like I'm getting hate crimed.
Why do I have imposter syndrome?
So who's the lead in this? Okay, she's done a lot. Oh my God, she's done a lot of... Right. Okay. See, in my next life, right, I have decided I am going to be reincarnated as like a kind of Midwestern American lassie in a kind of upper middle class family who exclusively does Christmas films and just chills for that. At least I'll have a good time. I'll get sent to Scotland and I'll get to marry the various Highlanders of my dreams. That's the plan. Saving the Christmas spirit. Yeah, saving Christmas spirit. Good Lord. Right.
I'm not watching that one. I'll watch the two new ones.
Okay, that's fine.
Thank you for clipping that one, Dakota.
Fucking hell, Joy, there's a couple that we've just completely missed.
Missed or say avoided for the sake of our mental health?
Well, apparently these go back as far back as 2019. There was Christmas in the Highlands. So there was obviously the classic. There's the classic A Castle for Christmas. And then apparently there was a Christmas Carol set in Scotland in 2018. It's like a timeless story by Charles Dickens gets an unexpected makeover with a Scottish twist. Like, I'm guessing from like a BBC perspective, there's just like fucking, the Iron Brew and Shortbread and I don't know, the Ghosts of Christmas Past. They're like, yeah. Christmas in the Highlands, Lost at Christmas. The movie is about a couple of strangers stuck in Scotland that are perfect for each other, and they only have till Christmas to realise that for themselves. Or they die. Yeah, rough. I've
kind of like Squid Game, like Scottish Christmas. That's doesn't seem very relaxing.
The thing that annoys me with this more than anything is that, like, in all of the films that we've just listed and laughed at, and we've all making jokes, like, there is not a single Scottish person in the fucking top cast for them, and I find that like appalling. Like, you would think that, okay, sure, if you're Hollywood and you want a big name to pull in the American crowd, so you go for whatever the fuck her name was, Brooke Shields.
Mm-hmm.
You go for Brooke Shields. Yeah, Brooke Shields. She'll bring in some folk. But then you go for like the Scottish extras or the supporting cast, who are supposed to be Scottish, and you just don't include them. It's really strange. I don't know why. It's like, why do you need to go down to London to try and recruit for it? And the studio might be in London, so I kind of get that. But, like, I don't know. If you're shooting in Scotland, why would you not approach people here?
We have 4 major theatre schools in Scotland.
Yeah.
And they're all going down south to put on English accents. Like, poor David Tennant, I don't think he knows what his own voice sounds like anymore. He only gets to be Scottish when he's being Scrooge McDuck.
Yeah.
So
that reminds me of I did watch. I'm not sure if it's a new one on Amazon Prime or I'm not sure if it's it is new. It's 2023. Gerard Butler's new film, Plane, right? And I think Gerard Butler's cottoned on to the fact that he gets the absolute shit ripped out of him in Scotland for his really weird accent. Because, of course, before he went out to America and became a star over there, he was down grafting in London and has his accents all over the place. But there's a really bad bit at the start of the film where, like, his co-pilot on his plane, who he's meeting for the first time, suggests that he might be English, and Gerard Butler does the whole faux, no lad, I'm Scottish, don't call me English. It's like the kind of caricature. I mean, like, if someone suggested I was English, I would correct them, just on account of it being the truth. But, like, you can feel he's proper, like, chewing that line up. He's really trying to re-establish himself, and he's got he's really putting on the accent. And you're like, could just try to not do that. But yeah, if you Joy, I wouldn't suggest watching the film. It's a very bland action film, but if you want to hear, I think Joy's disappeared. Well, that's handy. Basically, Gerard Butler scared Joy away.
My net's dying. Help!
There you are. You're back.
There we go.
I was gonna say Gerard Butler. You heard Gerard Butler and you were like, "Fuck it, I am out."
I'm out. I'm leaving. No, it's been my internet's been going. I think it's because of the snow we're getting.
Oh, joy.
But yeah, I was like, I heard Gerard Butler pretending to be not or something, saying English and then acting really roughly, and then my internet just went nope.
That's pretty much it. If you're gonna watch the film, I would watch up till that point, which is about 5 minutes in, and then you can close it. It's rough. And yeah, I remember his Phantom in the Opera. Jesus. But yeah,
my God, he was in Phantom of the Opera. I think
he is the Phantom of the Opera.
I think I wiped that from my memory.
Was he that bad in it? I don't think he.
It wasn't good.
Yeah, work in progress. He was really good in 300. I liked him in 300.
Best thing he's ever done.
Yeah. Right, I think that is us concluding this weird clusterfuck of an episode. We started out with all of our topics planned and we descended into anarchy.
We were so proud of ourselves. We were talking on Thursday and we're like, we've got this sorted, we're organised. This is the least organised podcast we've ever done.
We were saying to each other, like, holy shit, we've got all of our topics for Thursday and we're going to be able to fill the whole 2 hours with it. No, that's not the case.
Completely off the rails. Sorry
Just remember,
it's been a weird week.
Tubeless toilet roll. That's it. How many actually got cut? To be fair, we did cover the ones I think we thought we'd have more.
I think the other stuff was just more interesting. I think we were like, Matt and I, what's to say about him? We're like, yeah, we can probably give 40 minutes of that. And we got into it and we're like, actually, he's not worth wasting.
Matt Wright doesn't deserve 40 minutes of our fucking time. But yeah, no, I think we'll wrap up there, folks. Thank you very much to everyone who's listening on the podcast stuff. If you are listening here, though, hang around. We'll have a wee chat afterwards.
We'll be hanging out and you can see Holly Mop.
Exactly. But we will see you next time. Catch you in a bit, folks.
Bye-bye.